Good morning, everybody. I'm Jason Camus, Executive Director with Sertoma International, and I am here today with Dennis Saylor, a Vice President candidate for Sertoma International. And this is just one of our opportunities to allow you, Sertomans, to get to know some of the candidates for offices. This year, we have 3 candidates running for Vice President, and so I encourage you to go on, learn more, watch all the videos, learn more about each of the candidates. As Dennis knows, I've shared that this is just an opportunity for him to answer a few questions and tell us a little bit more about himself. And these will be posted all online, and you'll be able to reach out to the candidates directly. Voting will begin in April for clubs. The club ballots will be available in April, and then individual voting will be available in early May, both online and a ballot that's mailed to you at your home. So let's go ahead and get started. Dennis, welcome. And why don't you go ahead and just start by introducing yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
All right. Well, my name is Dennis Saylor, as Jason said. Me and my wife, we live in Aiken, South Carolina. I'm a member of the Aiken Sertoma Club. I'll be celebrating my 20th anniversary of being a member of Sertoma in September this year. So it's been a fun ride over the years, and look forward to continuing on.
Excellent. So why did you decide to run for vice president, and maybe why now as opposed to in the past or in the future?
Well, when I was the regional director for the Atlantic Coast region back 2019, 2020, that time frame, COVID era. I was on the board. I enjoyed that level of participation with Sertoma. I enjoyed the behind the scenes kind of work that we did as a committee, as a board. And during that time frame, I kind of thought, well, this would be a neat progression to move on up to vice president and beyond. But at the time, it just wasn't right for me because of my work schedule and other commitments. And so I retired. This month will be a year that I retired, and I find that I've got extra time. And I've decided, when you sent out that call to action kind of thing, I think it was in November, the email that went out, it just kind of struck me. And I'm like, I think now's the time.
Excellent. Well, I think it's what's more impressive to me is that you said you have time in retirement, because I keep hearing all these people say, hey, I'm retired. I'm busier than I ever was. So,
well, I had a buddy of mine that I used to work with years ago. He made a statement that it kind of stuck with me. He says, you really don't miss an opportunity to screw up some free time, do you?
Very true. Very true. Well, tell us, you gave us just, you're celebrating 20 years, your history. But tell us just maybe a little bit more about your history with Sertoma, what you've done maybe in your club, and maybe just, I'm sure people would be interested in a little bit of history and club background, if you will.
Sure. Yeah. Like I said, 20 years ago, kind of got started just as your basic member. And, along the way, as clubs do, they start, they grow your abilities, your skills. They asked me to consider running for president. I don't remember what year that was. I've served as vice president of membership. I've served this is my second term as president, and now finishing up the chairman of the board for Aiken Sertoma Club. In between those time frames, in that 20 years, I was district governor, regional director, and just really enjoyed getting to know all the people throughout the different clubs, as opposed to, as our friend Don Bartlemay always talks about, we have that 4-wall syndrome. A lot of members, stuck within their own club, and I enjoyed getting out and seeing the other clubs, what they do. And so that's kind of my history with Sertoma. I just look forward to continuing on.
Excellent. So what do you love most about Sertoma? What's your passion for in the Sertoma world?
Well, it'd be really easy for me to say I love our mission. That just seems to be the thing that people would fall back on. And I do. I love our mission. I'm very fortunate. I do not have any hearing issues. My wife has some, and she's struggling with that just a little bit, and I've had other family members that have, but, just in general, just the camaraderie, being, we meet twice a month, and it's always an enjoyable time to get with the guys. And, besides outside of our mission, our functions and our fundraisers and things that we do, it's always nice to just have an evening meal and a speaker, and just to get to, get touch base with the members again. And as I said, just getting out, as my past roles has put me in front of other clubs, and getting to know people from all over the country.
Excellent. Is there anything, when you think about Sertoma, whether it's locally, regionally, nationally, internationally, is there anything you'd like to see changed, or ideas you have for improvement?
I don't necessarily know about change. I know when I was on the board before as the regional director, you started working with strategic planning, and from what I've seen, what you've published and released to the membership, I like where we're headed. The forwards looking prospects that we have, and some of the conversations that we had at our regional conference that we had recently. I want to continue that on. I want to see that continue. I want to strengthen our clubs as much as we can, because that's where the strength of Sertoma is at the individual club level, and the members that push their mission. Because we all support the hearing health mission, but as throughout Sertoma land, there's individual localized missions that people do and support, like the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. That's a huge thing, and I support all of those. And so I really don't want to see any drastic changes. Just continuing on building the strength that we have, and facing the challenges that we have with diminishing memberships in some places, but we still see some growth in others. So it's we're not dead yet, and I don't expect us to die anytime soon.
I say that very much so. We'll outlive our time for sure. Sertoma will outlive our time.
Yep.
So Sertomans probably aren't going to know you super well, maybe in the Southeast and that. Maybe just give an example, or some of the leadership roles you've had outside of Sertoma that maybe are relevant, that you would bring some of those skill sets in as, the head top leader or volunteer leader for Sertoma.
Okay. It's always hard to talk about myself. Yeah,
it is.
But anything I've been involved in, and I've been involved in other things. Most people locally know, I'm politically involved in Aiken County and state of South Carolina, and I've held leadership positions with political affiliations, and I won't cause a division by stating which one.
That's all right.
But I was county chairman for our organization for 5 years. I'm currently back into a role of executive committeeman, where I serve on the board at the state level, and I'm on the finance committee there for this current year. Through work, I like I said, I retired. I worked for the same organization, if you want to say. The company changed names over the time frame, but the jobs pretty much stayed the same. But I worked for 46 years, basically in the vending machine industry, manufacturing vending machines and supporting them, and travel all over the world training our customers. So the company entrusted me with their credit card to fly halfway around the world and and come back without spending too much money. Currently I'm also in church with I lead a life group class. Growing up, we always called those Sunday school classes, but the times changed, so now we have life groups. Yep. And so I have a senior adult class that I lead. I don't refer to myself as a teacher because I'm still learning, but I lead the discussion in the class, on Sunday mornings. And I'm trying to think, what else have I done? The military background, I spent 11 years in the West Virginia Air National Guard because that's where I'm from originally.
Okay.
And, progressed up to, leadership positions there as well. So anything I get into, I tend to progress through it. And it has a lot to do with the people around me that support me to get to that position.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, you've shared a little bit there and shared a little bit about you and kind of what you see for Sertoma. Is there anything I missed and that you want to share, you'd like to share with voters and that?
But if it's okay, I wrote something down because I get myself tongue tied. So if it's okay, I'd like to be able to read that to you.
Yeah. By all means, this is your time.
All right. So let me get that up. This is just my candidate statement that I've prepared for that. It says, Sertoma, and I believe this, that Sertoma's strength has always been built on dedicated clubs and leaders working together in the service of our communities. As International Vice President, my focus will be on supporting and strengthening our clubs, developing our next generation of leaders, and ensuring that communication between clubs and headquarters remains clear and effective. I believe we must preserve the values that have guided Sertoma over the years while thoughtfully adapting to meet the challenges of today's environment. My leadership role approach is simple. I listen first, build consensus, and then follow through. And I respectfully ask for your support and vote as we continue to work together to strengthen the future of Sertoma.
Very good. Very good. Well, I just want to say thank you for your willingness to serve. Obviously I don't have a dog in the fight. I have 3 candidates and I will work with and for any of you. But it takes a lot to step up and it's a rather significant responsibility. There's, the time, maybe the first year or first year and a half isn't as much, but that third year as president is quite a bit of travel and, and quite a bit of time in front of clubs. And it goes without saying that, much like a club president, it's another extension and an opportunity to learn more about the Sertoma world too. So thank you for that. And I just want to remind everybody watching that, again, voting will be again in early May. You'll get a ballot in the mail as we started doing that last year. Every Sertoman gets a ballot in the mail. You'll also be able to vote online. Clubs will get their ballots in the mail as well, and they'll be able to cast that vote starting, I believe, in early to mid-April, due by like May 15th. And we'll have announced a winner, I believe, by the 2nd. Looking at my thing here, I believe the member announcement will go out on June 15th. So, Dennis, thank you again, and have a great rest of the day.
All right, it's my pleasure. Thank you.